Root and Ballance go big for Yorkshire again. Hampshire were arguably the standout side in the first round of fixtures as they hammered Essex by an innings and claimed the full 24 points on offer. They'd hoped to cement their good start as they went into another home game, this time against Yorkshire. The Yorkshire openers looked to be patiently settling in against the new ball after winning the toss before Fidel Edwards continued his excellent start to the season when he forced Brooke to inside edge onto his own stumps for 5. Adam Lythe passed the milestone of 10,000 first-class runs with an emphatic cover drive off the bowling of Abbott. Lythe was scoring at a rate of knots and finding the boundary with increasing regularity. He reached an excellent 50 off just 68 balls, including 10 fours. It looked to be a good day for batting on the south coast, but an ominous-looking partnership of 88 was ended on the stroke of lunch when Edwards struck again, forcing Lythe to glove one down the leg side. That brought Joe Root to the crease, and he and Ballance safely negotiated the final over before the break, Ballance lunching on 34 at the interval. When Root and Ballance made an unflustered start to batting together, you could have forgiven the Hampshire bowlers for casting their minds back to their mammoth unbroken stand of 253 on Monday. The Hampshire attack bowled admirably, but Root and Ballance looked to accumulate rather than dominate as they settled in for the long haul. Ballance brought up a chanceless 50 from 102 balls, and the England captain joined him, reaching his third 50 from as many innings. It looked like it would be hard work for Hampshire if they couldn't separate the Yorkshire pair soon, as both reached tea undefeated in the 70s, the partnership at 115 not out. It looked to be a race to their centuries for the second time in a week for Root and Ballance as runs continued to flow. And it was Ballance who won it when he clipped 3 off his hips from Berg to reach 3 figures from 214 balls. Root moved into the 90s, but a second century of the season wasn't going to be. He was bowled by Dawson trying to work him into the leg side, ending another mammoth partnership between the Yorkshire batsmen, this one worth 182 runs. No more batsmen fell as Ballance steered his side to the very strong position of 310 for 3 at the close. He'll pick up on 120 not out on day 2. Hampshire looking to get rid of him as soon as possible, or they could be in for another long day. Hampshire toil in reply to Yorkshire's mammoth total. Root and Ballance picked up where they'd left off in the first round with another huge partnership as they helped Yorkshire reach 310 for 3 on day 1 at the Aegeas Bowl. Ballance started well on the second morning, looking to settle in with some punishing boundaries. And night watchman Patterson was also looking to get in on the act with some 4s of his own. Ballance was eyeing 150 when Berg was able to surprise him with some extra bounce, Ballance gloving it through to the keeper for 148. And as so often happens, 1 wicket brought 2. In the next over, Berg trapping Patterson for 34, Dawson taking the catch at point. That brought Leaning and Kohler Cadmore together, and they steadied the ship to bring the 400 up. Yorkshire reaching the end of another excellent session with the bat at 413 for 5. Both batsmen had played in rather reserved fashion in the short period they were together before lunch, but they began to cut loose in the afternoon session. Kohler Cadmore taking a couple of boundaries off Barker. That before he fell LBW to Dawson for 41. That brought Tattersall to the crease with the aim of pushing Yorkshire onto 500 and a declaration. Leaning eventually reaching his 50 from the 150th over of the innings. And after passing 500 back-to-back 4s off Abbott may have indicated a move to accelerate. But the onslaught failed to materialise as Yorkshire continued to the tea interval in the same sedate fashion. They ended the session 537 for 6 and still no sign of a declaration. The batsman did look to make a belated attempt to accelerate at the beginning of the evening session, but Tattersall fell for 52 when he could only sky one to Vince when attempting a big shot off Dawson. And soon afterwards, Yorkshire did finally declare for a massive 558 for 7, giving their bowlers enough time to make inroads into a Hampshire side that would be tiring after more than 160 overs in the field. And it was a disastrous start for the Hampshire openers, Vince falling for just 5 when he edged Code to slip. And in the very next over, his partner Weatherly feathered one through to the keeper off Olivier to leave Hampshire in the mire on 11 for 2. Markram and North East dug in, with the South African hitting Code for back-to-back boundaries as they reached 50 without further loss. But with time running out before the end of the day, Markram threw the kitchen sink at a ball from part-timer Jack Leaning and picked out Gary Ballance at deep mid-wicket to fall for 45. Night watchman Abbott was able to survive the final few overs, but Yorkshire ended the day's play in complete control, with Hampshire still needing 405 just to avoid the follow-on. Hampshire collapse in final session to put Yorkshire in sight of big win. Hampshire struggled with the bat after Yorkshire declared at the Aegeas Bowl, the hosts resuming on 74 for 3 after 50s for Leaning and Tattersall on day 2 helped push Yorkshire to a massive 554 for 7. Yorkshire struck early on day 3 when Code got night watchman Abbott caught by Brooke at bat pad. Rousseau arrived at the crease and he didn't look intent on hanging around, taking 3 boundaries from one Olivier over. And the charge continued with more boundaries off Olivier and Code. Sam North East got in on the act with boundaries of his own and soon reached his 50, but Rousseau fell in the next over when he went for one big shot too many and dragged a ball from weight onto his stumps to fall for an entertaining 33. With little pace in the pitch for the bowlers, Dawson was able to settle in quickly, and the lunch interval arrived with the score 188 for 5, North East 72 not out. The Hampshire batsmen dug in after lunch, and with the Yorkshire bowlers beginning to grow frustrated, Dawson was able to hit Patterson to the boundary 3 times in quick succession to move to his 50. All that before he was tempted into a leading edge off the part-time spin of Leaning, Joe Root with the catch. North East was marooned on 99 for over 5 overs as he struggled to get on strike, and he fell agonisingly short of his 100 when Olivier got one to move late and it took the edge through to Tattersall. In his next over, Olivier got rid of Berg without scoring when he tried to cut a short ball. McManus and Barker were able to avoid any more damage in reaching the tea break at 296 for 8, but Hampshire remained 109 runs short of the follow-on. Hampshire were only able to add 6 more runs before the innings came to an abrupt end when Patterson claimed McManus and Edwards in successive balls, both caught by Kohler Cadmore. That left Hampshire all out for 302, 252 behind on the first innings, and they were unsurprisingly asked to follow on by Yorkshire. Hampshire initially dug in well in their second innings, with Vince taking 2 boundaries from an Olivier over, but otherwise not really playing a shot in anger. They reached 20 from 12 overs when Patterson made the breakthrough, a lovely ball that squared Weatherly up and took the shoulder of the bat, Kohler Cadmore taking the tumbling catch at slip. That seemed to open the floodgates as Vince was trapped LBW by one that kept a little low from Patterson, and Hampshire were then in all sorts of bother when Patterson made it 3 wickets in 3 overs when North East edged to Kohler Cadmore for a duck. The home side were unravelling. In the very next over, Waite had Markram caught behind to leave Hampshire 31 for 4. Waite struck again to get night watchman Abbott LBW, Hampshire losing 5 for 19 in a dramatic collapse in the final session. Dawson and Rousseau were able to survive the last 5 overs without any further damage to reach stumps at 54 for 5, but Hampshire are in real trouble. They remain 198 behind, Yorkshire needing only 5 more wickets on the final day to claim a big innings victory. Dawson and Barker make Yorkshire wait before wrapping up big win. Hampshire collapsed in the evening session on day 3 when asked to follow on to put Yorkshire in sight of a big victory on the final day at the Aegeas Bowl. Hampshire began the day at 54 for 5 and in all kinds of trouble, and it didn't take Yorkshire long to take the first of the 5 wickets they needed when Russo was pinned plumb LBW by Code for just 3. And with the first ball of his next over, Code struck again, Berg slashing at a wide one and edging to Cola Cadmore. Code made it 2 in 2 balls as Yorkshire looked to be storming to victory. Sub Ian Holland trapped in front for a golden duck. Barker and Dawson held up the victory charge, however, with Dawson taking Olivier for a couple of boundaries. Sensible shot selection that might have put their top order colleagues to shame meant Hampshire moved past the 100 mark when Barker took Patterson for back-to-back 4s. Dawson moved to a deserved 50 as the Yorkshire frustration looked to be mounting. Lunch arrived with Dawson and Barker having put on 98 for the 9th wicket, a great effort from the pair given Hampshire was sliding quickly to defeat at the start of the session. The 100 partnership duly arrived soon after lunch as Dawson and Barker continued to resist. That before Barker was able to bring up his 50. The partnership was brought to an end on 133 when Barker edged a cut-off Patterson behind to Tattersall. With his side 9 down, that was Dawson's cue to cut loose, and 4 boundaries in quick succession moved him to 92. However, he went for one big shot too many and this time picked out Cola Cadmore off Olivier. Hampshire all out for 208 to finally complete a comprehensive win for Yorkshire by an innings and 44 runs. Yorkshire then picking up 23 points from this one, Hampshire just 4.